Okay, ma'am. I think the time is begin. So, for delay. Today we are very much, overwhelmed. We are highly delighted.
So your voice is breaking.
A very renowned, and I think I should say, pride or how. Yeah, I think some problem is there in the network. Now, ma'am, am I audible to you? Am I
Yes, you're
audible to you?
audible. But
Still problem
yeah,
is
the
there?
voice breaks. I mean, you're quite audible. It was breaking in the beginning.
Okay, now it's audible.
Yes, it is. It is more clearer.
Okay, so again, I extend my heartiest welcome
Thank
to a very distinguished scholar, and she's not pride of Mahakoshal, but I think I should say of our MP as well, because she has recently achieved something that definitely we would like to share, and I hope that she will be also sharing with us. So, on behalf of Sachi University of Buddhist-Indic Studies, the Department of English, I extend my heartiest welcome to Professor Dr. Pratibha Kumarji. She is the professor and head, Department of English, and I think she is there for many years over there, and it's a government autonomous Mahakoshal Arts and Commerce College at Jabalpur.
It's almost 29 years, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I will come to that. So she has been awarded PhD on a very favorite writer of mine as well from the PRB Brotherhood, DG Gabriel Rossetti. And she has been professor for many more years. I think if I would speak, that would belittle the years that she has already possessed. 24 years of service in the Department of Higher Education of MP,
I
and
I
um,
correct. 29 years.
29 years, because we have whatever we have received, it is 24 years.
No, but
So
I
I
said
thought,
to be edited. Yeah.
okay. Then she is the member of Research Advisory Committee, that is the RSC of Rani Durgavati University, Jabalpur. He is the principal investigator in University Grants Commission, and she has been, I think, granted, or she has been given that minor research project, and that she completed from 2003 to 2006. She is the research supervisor of English, and under her masterly supervision, 10 students have been registered. 5 students, they have been already awarded their PhD degrees under her able guidance. She is the visiting professor at various Indian schools and international universities. She is the convener of various national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, symposium, and she chaired also many sessions in all these such academic and research activities of national and international repute. And she has been invited by many forums to deliver her keynote address or plenary address. And she has authored almost more than, I think it's a very old one, this brief biodata, I think more than 40 plus or something like that, research papers and articles she has penned down. And 2 books have been published by her. And on those books, I hope that she will definitely throw some more light. And it was around 2014 and 2019. She published these books from Indian publication as well as one book from the publication house of Germany. And she has been research resource persons at various refresher courses and academic programs meant for college teachers and scholars of the universities as well as college. And she is the she had, I think, contributed as a superintendent and Union Public Service Commission, and it's a very rarest of rare, because IES and all those people, they come out from that particular procedure, and she has been there on that panel and Public Service Commission examination as well. And she is the doctoral research board member in the Rani Durgavati University and member of Board of Studies, Department of English in Government Autonomous Mahakoshal Arts and Commerce College. She has been a very proactive member of college inspection committees, and I think this is the part that one has to do, even if you like to avoid, because in academic you have to also contribute indirectly or directly, some or other way, to the administrative jobs which are interested to you, which are given to you. and she is the convener of legal cell of government higher education. This is also one of the very important areas where you have to resolve dispute or whatever miscommunication or you know conflicts are there. And she is the convener of various community services like Red Cross Society, Self Defense Program, and she is commissioned officer of NCC, that is the Armed Forces for College Students. And I think it shows through her personality also. She is very bold. It looks very strong at will, because few days ago when I communicated to her, she was not keeping herself well. But even in that condition, she told me very strongly that I would be there. Don't worry. And she is with us today. So I'm really very lucky to have her today. So welcome, ma'am, again.
Thank you,
Kindly,
sir.
podium is yours, stage is yours, and deliver your talk before us.
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank Professor Mehta, who himself is a very distinguished scholar, who himself is a very enlightened teacher, a person of international fame and popularity. I would also like to thank at the onset Dr. Alkesh Chaturvedi ji, who is the Registrar of Buddhist Sciences, the Indic University, who had been my colleague with me past quite a decade. So I would like to thank him also at the onset. So let's begin. I think the introduction is over, and I would like to now just know in few seconds how many students are there. I think I can see only 3 students out there.
No, ma'am, they are 3 plus 2, 5, even include me also. I'm a learner. Yes, there are
Okay,
six, and you are also there.
so,
There are seven.
sir, and I'm also a student. I also keep on
Seven
learning.
samurais.
So at the end of my lecture, I will let you know what I learned today. So till yesterday, I was on the bed, and it was only a common, that viral fever and that cold and flu that is on these days, which is called Omicron, I suppose, a new variant of COVID. And there's a lot of weakness inside me, but yes, those multivitamins and the multivitamin that sir has given me, you know, is keeping me up and keeping me going. So welcome students to this class. And I would just like to know the place you belong to. I can see one, I mean, I would not like to put some caste or creed or country feeling, but because there are international students, I was told. So I can see one Indian girl is there. They are from the same country or they are from
Yeah, ma'am.
outside?
There are two students, those who are from outside, Suman
Okay,
Kapoor and one Reena Johar. But
okay.
since their timings are different, so they would join. Yeah, because yesterday or day
Sure.
before they were joining, and they are the part of the Department of Diaspora and Migration Studies that we recently, started. And
Okay.
apart from that, these four students are there, and they are from the Department of English, and they joined our PhD program, in this very academic session.
Okay, okay, good. So actually I wanted to ask this because the context, because we are going to speak on Tagore. We are going to speak on Indian writings in English. So that is why I wanted to know their background. Otherwise, it's all fine. Thank you. So let me start with a
Shall,
short introduction,
shall I ask them to introduce themselves for a while? If you don't,
if they can, if
if
they
you,
can
if
possibly.
you give consent, if you give consent.
Yeah.
Okay. So one by one, you should introduce yourself.
I think they are mute, yeah.
Okay, one by one, you have to introduce yourself.
Good morning, ma'am. It is our pleasure that you are here today with us. My name is Astha Shukla, and I have done my bachelor's from Excellence College, Bhopal, and my master's from Dr. Hari Singh Gaur University, Sagar, and I'm currently pursuing my PhD. Thank
Good.
you.
And the second one?
Good morning, ma'am. We are grateful that you are here today with us. I'm Pratibha Sinha. I'm basically from Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh, but currently I'm living in Wardha. I completed my graduation from Nagpur University and I pursued my master's from Mahatma Gandhi International Hindi University, and now I'm doing my PhD from here.
Good. Welcome.
Good morning, respected ma'am. I Simran Yadav. I did my bachelor's from Sarojini Naidu Autonomous PG College, Bhopal, and my master's from Sachi University of Buddhist-Indic Studies, and my MPhil program from the Sachi University Buddhist-Indic Studies. And recently, I'm pursuing my PhD program from this university.
Good. So very
Uh,
warm
good,
welcome from everyone. Yes. There's a fourth student there.
yeah, good morning, respected ma'am. I'm Brajesh Kumar, and right now residing in Bhopal. Right now, I have done my graduation from MBM College as a science student. Then I have done my some. I have also a IT career in regarding. I have done MSc and MCA, and I have done my masters in
Wow.
English from IGNU, and now I'm pursuing with PhD.
Very good. A varied faculty you have, background you have. Good. I'm quite astounded to see that people from IT, engineering, technical educations also want to do something in literature. PhD in literature. Good. Warm welcome to you. So let's begin. See, Tagore, as you all know, he's a very, very lovingly figure, and he is called lovingly by me because he was a person who was enlightened by self motivation. There was nobody behind him, like you should do this, you should do that. So he's one, and he was called Gurudev by Mahatma Gandhi, as you all know. Mahatma Gandhi was conferred this title of Mahatma by Gurudev, and Gurudev was conferred this title of Gurudev, that is Tagore, Gurudev Tagore by Mahatma Gandhi. So indeed, they were good friends. They had an impact of each other's personality over each other. Gurudev was not only a playwright, but a poet, a prose writer, but he had a enlightened personality and he was doing well with prose, with poems. He was a philosopher, he was a social reformer, he was a composer, a playwright, and many, many other things to go with. He had written many books on religion, philosophy, and so on. So he was basically educated at home, and when he was 17, he went to England for further studies. And in 1901, he came up with an experimental school called the Shanti Niketan School, where the bond of the teacher and the teacher and the taught, the disciple and the guru, was something different from today's context. It was very, very rational. So that school which he experimented on came up very successfully, and it was in West Bengal in the district of Birbhum, and it belonged to the place called Kolkata, that is Calcutta. Then, and who were the disciples in his school? There were only 5 people who were the disciples at the school of that time, which was called the Brahmacharya Ashram. And these 5 were his eldest son and some other 2 students of his village. So this is how, Tagore came up. This was his birth and introduction. And he was the one, we cannot forget, who had written the Jana Gana Mana, our national anthem, not only of our country, but also of Bangladesh. You know, what was the national anthem of Bangladesh? Can anyone just tell me 2, 3 words on it? Okay. So, and
Isn't it something? Sorry, isn't it something Amar Bangla? Something.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, and he was a personality who had traveled a lot, traveled extensively through Europe, America, East Asia, and was most important spokesperson for the Indian independence movement. Traveling gives you a lot of knowledge. So if you travel immensely, you learn a lot. Then he was awarded the Nobel Prize Literature Award in 1913. And he came out with such beautiful, sensitive verse that cannot be forgotten by anyone. So the today's topic that I'm going to take up is the same verse that we are talking of, on which he was conferred the Nobel Prize. And that is, Gitanjali. Gitanjali. As we all know, Gitanjali. Geet means songs and Anjali means offerings. So this was a total, the representation of his feelings, his intrinsic feelings towards the respect, love that he had with God. And this bond that he developed with him and God has been beautifully conveyed in all these poems that he wrote. There are a total number of 103 poems, 103 songs that he came forward, lyrics that he came forward, which was later on, which was written initially in Bangla, and then later on it was translated into English by himself. There was a contribution of W.B. Yeats. You might have heard his name also. He also helped him out in some of the translations of the book. It later on, the number grew, and from 103, he wrote some 157 songs. So these Gitanjali, now song number 1 to song number 5 have been told by the organizer, Dr. Mehta, to explain these 5 songs to you. And I think he has written more than 1,000 poems, some 8 short stories, some 24 of plays, that is 12 plays, 24 plays, and other religion, related books and education related books. And some of his major works that I would like to say, it is my habit to say at least 5 major works when we go through somebody's writings. So you can write it down, please, or you can find it on the net as well. There are 5 major works that I would like to mention. Mansi, is one work of his, collection of poems. Sonar Tari is 1894 that he wrote another work. And Gitanjali 1913 that we are going to do. His major plays are Bishor John, Dakghar, Achalayatan, Muktadhara, and Rakta Karabi. So these are some of his well-known, works. And in novels, he wrote Gora, Gharivera, Yoga Yog, and so on. And there was a literary journal that he came up in the year 1919. And much more. So, coming down directly to the 5 songs or the 5 poems that have been told to, just put light on today. The first song, I will just read it on my computer, and I hope that you also have the text with you. Do you have the text of all those 5 songs with you, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. So we'll just read it for your kind reference. Yeah. Song number 1, Gitanjali. Thou hast made me endless, such is thy pleasure. This frail vessel thou emptiest again and again, and fillest it ever with fresh life. This little float of a reed thou hast carried over hills and dales, and hast breathed through it melodies eternally new. At the immortal touch of thy hands, my little heart loses its limits and joy, and gives birth to utterance ineffable. Thy infinite gifts come to me only on those very small hands of mine. Ages pass, and still thou pourest, and still there is room to fill. So these are some 12 beautiful lines written in the beginning of the uh, of Gitanjali that he wants to offer to us and to God. He says, and this was titled as the flute, or my little flute by Tagore himself. And in this, he wants to say that God is showering his blessings on him, and he is full in praises of God. Not only praises, but he's full of gratitude and thankfulness to God to give him this lovely life that he is in today. He is given this human soul, and he wants to keep it totally pure and full of life. He not only praises and thanks God, but he also is full of, heavy emotions in him while he says to God that it is so nice and good that you have given me this endless, pure thought in me. And he says that it is, like the weak vessel. He considers his human body like a very, very weak vessel, which empties frequently and often fills it with enthusiasm and vigor. He says to God that whenever there is negativity around me, it is you who hold my hand and try to uplift me, and you try to console my soul. I thank you for this. I thank you for this. And this pleasure that you have given me is endlessly put into my heart by you. And in the second stanza, he says he has considered that little flute which is made of reed. Reed means bamboo. And God has put a sweet melody in it. You know what is flute? Flute, bansuri. And when I was going through this song, Krishna's image, reflected in front of my eyes. I could see Krishna who's holding a flute, and, he's taking out some music, and, we are dancing at the music produced by that flute. So he says, God is the musician who plays with the flute everywhere, over the hills, in the valleys, and everywhere around. And things seem to be fresh through these melodies. In the third stanza, where he says, at the immortal touch of thy hands, he says that your touch, God's touch, is immortal. And by your blessings, O Lord, my little heart experiences unlimited joy. And I am not able to express it in words. And in the fourth stanza, where he says, thy infinite gifts come to me only on these very small hands of mine. Means, these are the little gifts that you have given me. O Lord, I am receiving them from your hands. Poet further says that God continues to pour his blessings and kindness eternally on all of us. So he's all in thankfulness, in gratitude, in full of praises to God in the first song. In the second song, I would like some student to participate and read out the second song if you have in front of you.
Okay, ma'am. Shall I go ahead?
Have the charge to read?
Ma'am, shall I go ahead and read it?
Please, please.
Okay. The second song of Gitanjali. When thou commandest me to sing, it seems that my heart would break with pride. And I look to thy face, and tears come to my eyes. and all that is harsh and dissonant in my life melts into one sweet harmony, and my adoration spreads wings like a glad bird on its flights across the sea. I know thou takest pleasure in my singing. I know what only as a singer I come before thy presence. I touch by the edge of the far spreading wing of my song thy feet which I could never aspire to reach. Drunk with the joy of singing, I forget myself and call thee friend who art my Lord.
Very good reading. But I will suggest some tips on good reading. When you are reading such emotional songs, when you are reading such emotional poems and poetry, you should put little emotion in it while reading. It enhances, your the people who are listening to you. They are caught, breathtaking when you listen to the proper reading of a poem which is full of emotions. And you should go a little slow in it so that you give time and pause for the others to apprehend, to just, catch up with them, their own listening skills. Very good. Here, in this particular song, we can see that Rabindranath Tagore, the poet, is full of pride to be associated with God. He is full of pride to be in presence of God. He is captivated in the presence of God. And when he tries to sing at his command, he sings it. But he's so filled with pride that his eyes are filled with joy. Poet further says that when he sings as a result of inspiration from God, because you see, it is the God of muse that comes into one's soul when he starts up with listening poetry or reading poetry. So he's inspired by the goddess of muse. And all that is harsh and dissonant with him, all negativity, all discontentment, all unpleasantness melts away. And there is sweet harmony as a result of his this gratitude that he has with him given, and all the adoration of God that he has been given to him. There are a lot of figures of speeches which I will come at the end and ask you certain questions and then let you know what are those, which makes Rabindranath Tagore's style of writing a very popular and a very, very attractive one. The poet says that he is aware that God takes interest, keen interest in the singing praises for him, and he bows in front of that Lord who's singing, he is being at the side of him. The poet says that even with his popularity, he cannot reach God and can only hope to touch his feet by the efforts of his songs. And in the end, second song, in the end, drunk with the joy of singing, I forget myself and call thee friend who art my Lord. In the end, he says that he's so satisfied and filled with his singing that he forgets himself and also forgets that he is only a servant and begins to look with boundless joy that God is his friend than his master. I came across latest with a professor, would not name him, but good friend of mine, who said, मैंने एक दिन कहा उनसे कि सर मुझे भगवान से डर लगता है. He taught me a lesson that day, in one sentence, he said, क्यों प्रतिभा, भगवान से क्यों डर लगता है? तुम भगवान को दिया लगाती हो, उनको प्यार करती हो, उनको बत्ती जलाती हो. जब तुम्हारे मन में कुछ डिसहार्टनिंग इवेंट आता है या कुछ ऐसा थॉट आता है, you run towards God and no one else. It is because you love God. It is not that you fear God. So I will not say that Tagore is a God-fearing person. He is tremendously in love with God. And in this love that he has in him, has made him a truly, truly multifaceted figure in literature. Nobel Prize winning is not a joke. When the name of literature comes, and that too Indian writings in English, we cannot forget the name of Gurudev. So please, children, love God, respect God, but not fear God. So this is song 2. Coming to song 3. Can any other student read out the song 3? Let me see your reading skills.
Yes, ma'am. May I go ahead?
Sure, sure. I want you to participate actually.
I know not how thou, I know not how thou singest, my master. I ever listen in silent amazement. The light of thy music illumines the world. The life breath of thy music runs from sky to sky. The holy stream of thy music breaks through all stony obstacles and rushes on. My heart longs to join in thy song, but vainly struggles for a voice. I would speak, but speech breaks not into song, and I cried out baffled. Ah, thou hast made my heart captive in the endless meshes of thy music, my master.
Wonderful. Wonderful reading. Thank you. So you ease my process a lot. The poet here in this song 3 wonders and questions how God, his Lord, sings. He's amazed and he listens to God's song and is rendered speechless. You know, there is one word, gala roong gaya. When you're full with emotions, you want to sing something, but still you're not able to sing. That is you are speechless. Your sound doesn't come out of your vocal cords. And you seem as if you cannot sing, but you're full with it. You want to sing. This is the condition of the poet when he is in presence of God and when he listens to the flute playing and when he listens to the song which is sung by God. And in this particular poem, he's perplexed, he's puzzled, and he's wanting to seek permission from God. And he wants to say that God's music is life generating and it imparts this life breath all over the world, spreading from one end of the sky to the other end of the sky. God's song is very, very holy and divine and brooks no obstacles in. It rushes in regardless of all stones bearing the way. That is, if any he's hearing the song, all obstacles, all stones, all hindrances are very easily, taken over as a part and parcel of life by Tagore. He doesn't feel that he will not be able to accomplish any particular job that is being given to him. He will be able to do it truthfully and emotionally and in the presence of God with full confidence. He will be able to now voice out what he really wants to say. So in his heart, the poet wishes to join the Lord and sing along, but he cannot find his voice here again. When he does and speaks, he finds that he cannot sing. His words do not break into song, and this puzzles him. And he cries out in bewilderment and confusion. And then the poet says that he has been trapped and made captive in the endless net that is thrown by God. So many wonderful metaphors and similes, given to us in this particular song to derive conclusion. Now, he is actually in dismay. He is puzzled, but he's in dismay. One word that is coming into my mind again and again when I'm doing this lecture with you, it is the word encomium. Encomium. What does encomium mean? Encomium means when you are full of praises for something, it is a piece of writing where you only praise that particular person. And why do you praise that person? Why do you praise? You want to get something from him?
No, ma'am, because we love them.
Yes, because you have love and respect and regards for that person. So this encomium, this is a full encomium that he has tried to put forward in front of us. Again, when you read this particular song 3, you know, you have that the amazement. I know not how thou singest, my master. I ever listen in silent amazement. The light of thy music illumines the world. The life breath of thy music runs from sky to sky. Sky to sky is an alliteration. I will let you know just after this lecture. We will come to the style part. We're just trying to follow what he wants to say in the beginning. The holy stream of thy music breaks through all stony obstacles and rushes on. Holy stream. My heart longs to join in thy song, but vainly struggles for a voice. I would speak, but speech brings not into song, breaks into song, and I cry out baffled. Ah, thou hast made my heart captive in the endless meshes of thy music, endless meshes in the web that the God has created. In that particular web, he's caught, and so he tells him, "My master." Krishna again, the image of Krishna is again, and the divine music is flowing from infinite, from sky to sky. So he yearns to imitate God here, actually. He's trying to imitate God and sing with him. He wants to go just merge him in God's feelings. He strongly believes and desires to break into the song in accompaniment with God. So that is extreme dismay and bewilderment. Now, coming to song 4, I would like Brijesh to read it. Possibly, if you could read, Brijesh. Am I saying the right name?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Life of my life, I shall ever try to keep my body pure, knowing that thy living touch is upon all my limbs. I shall ever try to keep all untruths out from my thoughts, knowing that thou art the truth which has kindled the light of reason in my mind. I shall ever try to drive all evils away from my heart and keep my love in flower, knowing that thou hast thy seat in the inmost shrine of my heart, and it shall be my endeavor to reveal thee in my actions, knowing it is thy power gives me strength to act.
Good, quite good. But you must improve on your reading, Brijesh.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Life of my life, I shall ever try to keep my body pure, knowing that thy living touch is upon all my limbs. I shall ever try to keep all untruths out from my thoughts, knowing that thou art that truth which has kindled the light of reason in my mind. I shall ever try to drive all evils away from my heart and keep my love in flower, knowing that thou hast thy seat in the inmost shrine of my heart. And it shall be my endeavor to reveal thee in my actions, knowing it is thy power gives me strength to act. Again, it is full of thankfulness, it is full of gratitude, but one little thing that is making this song different is that it appears as a pledge, as a promise to God that life of my life, I shall ever try to keep my body pure. This is my pledge to you. This is my promise to you, my Lord, that I will keep my body pure and it will be pure as a lily. I shall ever try to keep all untruths out from my thoughts, knowing that thou art that truth which has kindled the light of reason in my mind. So this poem actually begins with the pledge of a pledge to God that he shall always try to be pure and utterly pure with God. He promises to drive away all forms of untruthfulness from his thoughts because God himself is truth and has blessed him with the power to reason and rationalize. He shall also drive away all manner of evil and bad things from his heart. He shall keep his love and adoration for God in bloom and fresh because he knows that God lives in his heart and the innermost temple of his heart is God's station. And he shall always, work towards revealing God in his actions, and he shall do good things only because the power in him to act and work has been granted by God himself. So this is the analysis of a simple analysis. We are not going into the depth analysis of each song. We're just going through the explanation. So his mind should be free of lies, he says, of any untruth, because God is the embodiment of truth and he is the one who has been showing reason to him to survive with this purity, with this presence of God that he has in him. Coming to the fifth and the last song for a simple explanation. Is there any other scholar there?
Yes, ma'am.
Please, Suman, I think.
Uh,
Let's give
Simran here, ma'am.
Suman, na?
No, ma'am, Simran.
Simran. So,
Yes.
Simran, now I give you an opportunity to read this song, beta.
Okay, ma'am. I ask for a moment's indulgence to sit by thy side. The works that I have in hand, I will finish afterwards. Away from the sight of thy face, my heart knows no rest nor respite, and my works become an endless toil, in a shoreless sea to toil. Today, the summer has come at my window with its sighs and murmurs, and the bees are playing their minstrelsy at the court of the flowering grove. Now it's a time to sit quiet, face to face with thee, and the signed dedication of life in this silent and overflowing leisure.
Okay, good, Simran. I ask for a moment's indulgence to sit by thy side. He is requesting God to sit by permission. He's taking permission from him to let me sit by your side. The works that I have in hand, I will finish afterwards. That is, he is enjoying his company, complete solace, complete bond. Sorry, there was a phone call. I had to decline it. Away from the sight of thy face, my heart knows no rest nor respite, and my work becomes an endless toil in a shoreless sea of toil. He's comparing that endless toil in a shoreless sea to endless toil. So it is now today the summer has come, and my window with its sighs and murmurs, and the bees are plying their minstrelsy at the court of the flowering grove. Now it is time to sit quiet, face to face with thee, and to sing dedication of life in this silent and overflowing leisure. There is leisure. The word leisure means there is some time now, and the time is right now. Let me sit beside you, O God, and permit me to be just in front of you, listening to you, your sound, your face, looking at you, and be at your side. So, this is the permission that he's taking from God. The summertime has arrived because he has heard the soft sounds of summer In the buzzing of the bees, he can, hear that. And there is the groove out there where flowers have bloomed. In the manner of the king's minstrel singing. And this time, the onset of summer is a time to sit quietly beside you, facing you, and the divine peace enveloping all nature and praise you in your glory of God. This is my pledge with you, O Lord. So, this is again a simple analysis of Song 5. Uh, and I might say in the end that these are all prayers to God actually. He is in love and respect and full of regards for God, and so all kind of prayers are coming to him in this manner. Now, I would like to just know from you all, children, that there are some 5 P's of 5 songs. Can you just tell me? You know what is that acronym? एक्रोनिम क्या होता है, कोई बताएगा मुझे? नहीं बताते.
Ma'am, it is a short form of a word, as in we use the initial sometimes and we refer to the word by that. That shorter
Very
form
nice,
is an
very good.
acronym.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to sum up my lecture, because I should be leaving some impact in you. You will never forget these 5 songs. I have gathered some 5 P's. Shall I tell them to you? Or you would like to reflect for a while? And let us see whether those P's match with me or not, to make the lesson more interesting.
Right?
Let me share, okay? So in the first song, I diagnosed 1 P, that is praises for God. So you can write before that, praises for God, gratitude for God. You will never forget these now. Secondly, in the second song, you have pride for God. Pride for God. And you are held captive by being in pride for God. The third song, perplexed. You are perplexed and you are puzzled. You are perplexed and you are puzzled with dismay and bewilderment. You are speechless. So, perplexed and puzzled for the third song. In the fourth song, there is a pledge. There is a promise. Okay? And this promise is for what? That he should always try to be pure by heart and deeds. And what is in the fifth song? If you are hearing to my lecture carefully, if you are really listening, what is the fifth P?
Ma'am, he's pleading to God. He's pleading to God.
That means you haven't heard, you haven't listened to me carefully. I'll be obliged if you just bring out that word. Permission.
Yeah.
It is the permission to stay by God's side. And what are all these songs? Synonym to these songs. You know what is a synonym? Literature students, research scholars, PhD awardees. Synonyms.
Ma'am, words with same meaning.
Same meanings. permission to stay by God's side. What are all these? These are prayers to God.
Yes.
Prayers to God. And it is in the presence of God everywhere. He is omnipotent, omniscience, omniscient. Isn't it? And who's the last P here? I'll be very proud of you if you say that. The last P, you will never forget. Shall I remind you of the name of the resource person that is taking? This enlightenment came to me in the morning when I was going through the lecture, because last night I had not just gone through it. So from 6 in the morning when I was just going along the pages, all these P's, struck my mind. So you will never forget Pratibha Kumar ma'am taking the Gitanjali poems, explaining to you with 5 P's, and Pratibha ma'am. You will never forget now. I hope so. I'm confident you will not forget. Aso bhai? Aso, smile. Brijesh, there's no smile in your face. Good. Now coming down to the conclusion of the 5 songs, I would just like to comment that I am nobody to explain Gitanjali. It is a very, very philosophical, highly leveled, graded collection of songs and poems. I have only put in my simple efforts, and the time constraints are very less. We can go on and on with the explanation and deep analysis of Gitanjali. But to conclude, I would say that in every song of Gitanjali, in every song that Tagore has written, he has tried his level best to give you a number of figures of speeches to enhance his writing. So, reflecting on figures of speeches, what do you think are the main figures of speeches that he has used in his style of writing? Can you name 1, 2, 3, 4?
Ma'am, personification, metaphors, and similes.
Very good. I'm proud of you. So, there are so many figures of speeches that he has used, but mainly there is alliteration, metaphors, similes. Okay, then there is you see the alliteration. What is alliteration? Sky to sky, when the one letter keeps on repeating in one particular line. That is sky to sky. Or the sound of B, B, B being repeated again and again, or S, S, S. That is alliteration. And how many lines, coming down to the structure of the poem. Always being a good a reader, a prolific writer, as a research scholar, you should be knowing the details of writing poetry, various forms of poetry, and the structure of the poetry, writing poetry. Let us see, go back to I'm at the 5th song. Let's take this song itself. How many lines are there in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is a sonnet. So, when there is one line, there are 2 lines in the poem. What is it called?
Couplet, ma'am.
Couplet. 3 lines.
Triplet.
4 lines.
Quatrain.
5 lines.
Pentameter.
Pentameter. Something to do with penta. Lines.
6. Hexameter.
Sestet. 8 lines. Octave. So, by the grace of God, I was appointed by Hindi Granth Academy to put into units in Indian writings in English for the upcoming BA first year English literature textbook, which will be coming soon, and I think in a week or so it will be, launched. And I have clearly gone, if you can go through the PDF of that book, if it is made online to you, or you can get it from somewhere. It is the Hindi Granth Academy, which will be published by it soon. And in that, I have given the different forms of poetry, different kinds of poetry, different structure of the poetry. And I have given which poem should be written in which manner, how to write poetry. So the definition that Wordsworth has given to us, William Wordsworth, he says, poetry is emotions recollected in tranquility. Poetry is emotions recollected in tranquility. It is a spontaneous overflow of emotions which is recollected and written down in tranquility. But there are so many researchers which have gone with this contradictory statement of Wordsworth. He says, at one end, he says, it is a spontaneous overflow of emotions. And at the other part of his definition, he says, it is matter, it is emotions recollected in tranquility. One, he says it is spontaneous, and in the other, he says it should be done in tranquility, when you're sitting at the side of a shore, when you're sitting alone in your room, when you're contemplating on what should be, one thing. There's a phone call, so if you decline it. So this is it. So please go through that book if you wish, if you get that book in hand, and try to update yourself in different forms of writing poetry. How to write poetry, when to write poetry. Okay? So I think my time is up. Any questions that you would like to ask me, please?
With the due permission of our keynote speaker, students, you are permitted to ask question if you have any.
Yeah, they might be having some questions because they are full of it, I think, or the lesson was quite clear to you.
Ma'am, it was extremely clear. Thank you for that lecture. I have just one question on the philosophy of Tagore. While I was reading, I have
Yeah.
one question on the philosophy of Tagore. While I was reading the poems, I have observed this thing that almost these songs feels like a whisper that somebody is whispering to God, and it seems very private. So when I read it, I imagine as somebody, I am standing as the between a devotee and God. So, what should be the approach while reading Tagore? Like, I want to feel more involved while reading Tagore. So, what approach should I take so that I feel more involved while I'm reading it? This is something I've personally dealt with while reading Tagore, especially Gitanjali.
Have you gone through only these 5 songs, or have you gone through more songs of Tagore also?
Ma'am, actually, I keep returning to Gitanjali in troubled times that sometimes I read it at night for the peace of mind. But this is something I keep feeling while reading Tagore, that I am not the involved party, as if I am reading listening to somebody's conversation. So,
Yeah. So the image that came into your mind, regarding Tagore as a whisperer. So
right.
you find Tagore is whispering in your ears and giving you solace, or when you read the songs and then you feel?
No, actually, ma'am, it's just that when you read these poems, I mean, what approach? How should I change this approach that I feel more involved while reading this? This feels like a personal conversation, and we as a reader, it seems like the third party. Like it is little difficult to relate. Maybe it's just that at this stage it is difficult to relate to. But yeah, so there should there be some specific approach while reading Tagore's Gitanjali that we
See,
should take.
yeah, coming down to reading literature or reading poetry, the question that you're putting forward is related to your personal attempts to read a particular poet. What happens is reading is very, very personal. When I read Tagore, when I'm depressed, I pick up Tagore and start reading, as you said. I don't feel that he's whispering into my ears. I think he's putting his hand at my back. He's trying to solace me through his writings. So as a person, I find him very near to me. And I feel that God is really, really very near to me in form of Tagore. So reading is very, very personal. It is
Right,
how
ma'am.
you take up. The philosophy becomes totally yours.
Right, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Any other question?
Okay, I think it's time to propose vote of things. Though it's a part of ritual, though you are part of our extended family. And I was going through your lecture from the beginning till end, and I found it very interesting the manner in which you articulated your thoughts on Tagore's Gitanjali. And you very honestly accepted also that you do not stand anywhere between the philosophy that he ingrained or that he infused in these verses. Gitanjali, as name suggests, songs offering, and these offerings are prayers, prayer to the Almighty, and to write about that divine power itself, it's a big challenge. It is just like you are as a Satan rising against your will, your wise against God. But being a poet of out of class, Tagore did it remarkably. The simple, I think, the phrase that we can collect or that I can collect from your talk, it's very simple to learn that more you surrender, more you will get. The more you will become humble, more you will, to get from the divine power. And the manner in which you, I think, given us that mantra 5P, and the last one is very interesting. Your own name, that is eponymous, and which is something which is very interesting. That even Kuntak he talks about Pratibha. So I think without the Pratibha, inborn genius, even it
No,
is difficult
no,
for him.
sir, not at all. It is all I came here in this world and then I learned everything. Not
So
at all.
Kuntak was rightly pointed out that Pratibha must be there in person, and Sir Adayata should be there, among the readers. So only Sir Aday, they
You're
can
great.
understand that Pratibha's talk. So I hope that these people are Sir Aday, and they will accept and digest whatever you have delivered today. And 5P, I think it's very good that you have summarized the whole lecture in 5P's formula. It is praise for God, undoubtedly. It is something which is pride for God, because I have become, a kind of an epitome for selfless love. Means the poet, very, 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 or narrator or poet, more or less same. He accepted that once I have surrendered myself, before the God, and I can't be a companion of Him. I can be a follower of God only. I can be a devotee of God. But sometimes he started feeling that if I would become a friend like figure to God, no, then he rejected that idea. It is better to be a follower or rather to be a devotee of God rather than to be a friend of God. Because in becoming a devotee, you will get more rather than to become a friend of him. Because you will also get that status, and he finds himself nowhere to that position. And then the third P that you talked about, the perplexity or that kind of bafflement he was having, that he was very much doubtful, that he lost somewhere. It is something mein subut kho baitha. I lost my identity in your identity. I submerged I submitted myself to your feet, to your world, and I'm nowhere now. But I have, mingled with your world. That it is just like Duns, that metaphysical poem, that we are two, but we have become one, and we have part of that one world. So we have two different worlds. But when I came before you, I lost myself, I lost my identity, and my identity, it becomes, it merges with your identity, and then I am known to everyone. So I think it is something which is very philosophical in notion in conveying this particular concept. And Tagore is beautiful. And you talked about the pledge also, that promise that he wanted to carry, and that he made it very boldly. And the permission that you talked about, the fifth P, that it's a permission that we need to seek from the God in doing everything. God is omnipotent, God is omnipresent, is everywhere. we need eyes, we need that, will, we need though that purity in our soul, so that we can feel that oneness, that connectivity, that belongingness, that one should have when we want to be one with the God. So I think you have given a complete, portrayal or picture or description of all these five verses, and we are not far away from that verse number 35, which is very popular, and it might be the part of their school syllabus, where the mind is without fear
Without
is
fail.
life, and towards the last line, something is there for everybody.
Where the head
That
is held
into that
high.
heaven of freedom, my father, let my
Let
country awake. And you talk about,
let my
how to
nation
read,
awake.
how to recite poem. And I think when I was pursuing my B.Ed. M.Ed. and all those things, it was part of our, that curriculum, recital of poem, and that too with proper intonation, pauses, and all those paralanguage features must be there. And some of them they read brilliantly, and some of they will improve themselves under guidance of people like you. So even the prosody part that you lecture, it's wonderful that they should have the knowledge about elite figures of speech and all those things. Otherwise, poetry cannot be enjoyed without all these, because poetry is all about rhythm, harmony, symphony,
Meter.
meter is there, and you talked about all those
Music is there.
iambic pentameter and tetrameter, sestet, octave, and all these things. And I was listening to all those things, and some of them, especially only Asta, she was answering, to be very honest. I don't like to make it, you know, dishonest on my part. She answered some of the questions, and
Yes, she did.
really good of
Very
her
brilliantly.
that she answered it. So it is something that brings you, what? Why do we like poem like Gitanjali, or a collection of 103 songs, and even it's he, while wrote that introduction, he honestly accepted that I am really moved away by all these songs. This is the very honest approach of a foreigner, a foreign person, about an Indian, a poet who was under their capture for, and that country was under their control for many years, but he
Many.
accepted that the poetry is above all such notions of colonialism and all those things, and it is something which is highly spiritual, so that we can explore our journey that starts from inward world to the outer world. I'm really thankful that you made it very easy, and you made our journey towards God, I think, more comfortable, even comfortable than poet himself. Really thankful to you, ma'am, for your wonderful delivery, for your very compact talk, despite of your poor health that you are having. Not poor health, because you are a good motivator also. So you lifted your soul and make your body to work. And this is something which is the union of body and soul, which is required. It's the unification of body, mind, and soul. And
Yes.
ultimately, you spoke from your brain. And I hope that you will continue to support us in our academic and research endeavors. And whenever we will invite you, we will um, have you with among us. You will give your consent, like you have given in no time. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
From
sir. Give me an
and
opportunity
I'm
to come all the way physically to the university and speak to my students in front of me, so that I'm
yeah.
able to face them and know them more and more.
Yeah, one more important thing that I would like to make here in this vote of thanks, that we cannot forget the contribution of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Madam. Yes, that
Oh,
she has made us, um, to work not in only one direction. We are working in multifaceted direction, and I hope that collaboration with people like you and collaboration with the other institute that
I'm
we are
I'm
doing.
yeah, I'm most thankful to the vice chancellor of the university to giving me an opportunity to speak on such a bright platform. Thank you, sir.
Only people like you have enlightened us, therefore सूरज जो होता है ना, वो रिफ्लेक्ट करता है तो चंद्रमा भी चमकता है.
Are sir, but
So you made it. I should speak in this simple term. You made our day. And then to be very honest, I'm really thankful to our respected registrar sir, Professor Dr. Alkesh Chaturvedi,
yeah, Dr.
for
Alkesh
giving us
Chaturvedi, I'm really thankful to you.
so he became an instrumental between you and our students, even in joining people at single platform. So I'm really thankful to him also. I'm thankful to all the students, and I'm thankful to my very good friend of mine, Dr. Devendra Singh ji, that he is always there to do certain things behind the curtain, and he's always there with us. Despite of he is also engaged somewhere in the examination section, because we have the examination of third sem pretty soon in the next
Yeah.
month. So he's engaged there. Otherwise,
I'm
he could
also
be also.
getting, I have to resume my duties today. I'm getting so many phone calls from the college. Where is Pratibha? The classes are on. I said, I'm joining today, resuming today after my this. Let me finish this lecture and then I'm joining
Thank you
yours.
very much. Thank you very much from the bottom of our heart.
Thank you so
From
much,
one and
sir.
all.
Thank you, students, for listening to
Thank
me
you,
carefully.
ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Ma'am.